Hello, my name is Mark, welcome to the video. So today I'm on the banks of the Leeds and Liverpool Canal in Lancashire, not far from a place called Accrington, and I'm targeting bream and tench today, and also perch. So I'll show you the baits that I'm using and the setup, and then we'll make a start. So basically my approach today is going to be a two-pronged attack. I'm going to be feeding chopped worm. I'm going to chop these up in my worm whizzer and fish a worm on the hook. And then for a second area in the swim, I'm going to be using ground bait. I've got some ordinary brown crumb, which I'm going to mix with census brown crumb, and a bit of the additive that I've been using, mango powder, dried mango powder. I'm also going to add some soft brown sugar as well. This is high molasses content, so that's going to add a lot of sweetness to the mix. And into that, I'm going to be putting some sweetcorn, and I'm going to be fishing sweetcorn on the hook. So two lines. One a ground bait and sweetcorn approach, the other one chopped worm with worm on the hook. So this particular stretch, I've had some nice bream and some nice tench from it in the past, last year. I've been on a couple of times since then, and unfortunately I've not managed to latch onto anything of any size. Got a few small perch, but the tench and the bream have eluded me so far on this stretch. Hoping that's going to change today. So this is the swim I've chosen. It's on a bend, and I've got a bit of cover opposite. I've got some near side rushes, and I think it's wide enough to have a couple of swims set up, maybe one out there and one closer in. So the gear for today is I've got a 3000 Ninja reel, and that's attached to my cart waggler, my midi cart waggler set at 11 foot. The float that I'll be using is a Drennan VisiWag float, and you can see that's a loaded float, and I've got the shot mostly bulked around the base of the float, and I've got a size 4 down the line. And the hook and hook link I'm using this Kamasan pattern. It is a barb pattern, but I've crushed the barb on that, a size 12. That's going to coat with worms and also with sweetcorn, and this will be the hook link that I'm using. So I've plumbed the depth out there, and the furthest swim, we're talking about just over 4 rod rings up. That's how I remember the depth, because I'm going to be switching between a shallower part of the peg and a deeper part. So just over 4 rod rings, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've got the hook in the hook retainer there. So that's the furthest swim depth. And the close in swim, I've plumbed the depth, and it's just under the 3rd rod ring there. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then I've got the hook on the hook retainer there. So that's how I can keep a track of both swims. So I've mixed the ground bait up, put a few bits of sweetcorn in there, and I'm going to kick things off by putting a couple of balls of ground bait in around about that size. Right, so I've got my float as a marker out there. A couple of balls of ground bait over there. It's a lovely brown crumb cloud in the water. So that's where I'm going to target fishing sweetcorn. And what I'll do next is feed the close in line with chopped worm. Right, so it's time to feed a bit of this slop. Something about that size to start off with. What I'll do, just sort of stand up for this one. Plonk a bit of that in the canal. Just about there. So that's the near side swim with the chopped worm fed. We've got the swim across fed with ground bait and sweetcorn. I'm going to kick things off by trying a worm on that near side swim. Right, so popped a worm on the hook, and what I'm going to do now is my first cast out over the area where I fed that chopped worm. So it's just basically an underarm swing really, and we're good to go. So I have brought my keep net today. I've avoided bringing it because obviously fish have been spawning over the last month or two. We're now on the 3rd of June, things have cooled down, and I thought I'd just bring my keep net. More because returning fish straight into the swim can spook any fish that you got in front of you, so if I do catch any perch I'll pop them in my keep net, or any smaller fish like skimmers and roach. But any bigger fish, if I do latch onto a tench or a bigger bream, I'll return those into the canal a little bit further away. So far we've got 10 minutes elapsed and nothing happening on that near side line. A couple of bubbles just popped up there. There's the odd small roach that have been topping here and there, and the other thing I've noticed is where I've fed that ground bait across, there's been what I believe are bream or skimmer bubbles coming up, so let's see what happens next. I'm seeing one or two more bubbles over that ground baited area, which is promising. Not going to go on it yet. I'm going to let things settle down and hopefully the fish get confident over it, if there are indeed some bream over it. The canal looks in perfect condition. It's got a tinge of colour. It's quite cloudy and overcast, but quite warm as well. So all in all, perfect conditions. Yeah, another little bubble across. So I'm wondering whether we've got some bream or skimmers on the ground bait line. So far, nothing on the chopped worm line. Wow, and I've just now seen a bream roll over that far side as well. I'm getting quite excited now. So I'm going to just continue to put some grains of sweetcorn in there. I'm firing about, I don't know, 6 or 8 at a time over there. But that is very, very interesting. One of the things that can be a problem on this stretch is floating weed. Oh, there we go. Oh. He says, I've got a nice little roach. Let's pop it in the net. That's another little cast out. So there's obviously, well, I've seen a few little roach topping, so it's not surprising that I've got a roach on the line there. I've just decided to put a bigger worm on and managed to get a little perch. So I might have a few perch there now, so let's have a little cast out. I'm still leaving that furthest line just to settle, so you can get the fish confident over there before I hopefully hook one or two of them. Oh, that's a bite again, so yeah, it's looking like we might have a bit of activity now on this near sideline. It's taken about 20 minutes. Right, well that came as a bit of a surprise. I'm just having a cup of coffee and my float disappeared, this near side line on worm. I'm fishing about a foot off bottom and float disappeared. I struck and briefly I had a skimmer on the line, quite a big one, maybe a pound and a half. Just see it flash under the water and then off. So I think they're definitely in this area, which is great. Just a pity that I missed that one, lost it. Well, I am getting a bit of activity on this near sideline. I've just deepened up again to just tripped the bottom now with a worm, and I just had a bite that I missed. It might have been a line bite. I'm wondering whether not only there's going to be some little roach and perch in this swim, but some of those skimmers and bream may well be over the worm line as well now. Right, another little bite then. Just going to let this develop. Yep. And oh, it's a perch. Good. A little perch. So the time has come. I've got a piece of coin on the hook. And I'm now going to try that furthest line now. About 35 minutes into the session. So let's have a cast across there and hope for the best. See whether we can get hold of one of those bream. Always exciting. I've seen a bit of bubbling or rolling and never cast over it for the first time. Ooh, the anticipation. Ooh, a little bit of a lift there, so that's telling me that there's some fish in the swim. A line bite, I think that was. Got my float dotted down nicely, and I'm tripping along the bottom about 2 inches at the moment over there. Well, just had a bite and missed it on double coin. What I've done is I've just shelled up an inch because it's looking like there's a bit of weed on the bottom over there, and it may be that the coin's sort of fallen into that weed. So just shelled up an inch, see if that makes any difference, and that looks like it's a bite. So definitely fish out there. I was beginning to wonder whether they'd gone after bumping that skimmer close in, but getting a bit of movement on the float now. Just going to leave it on the rest now, just to see what happens, see if that bite develops. I'm not seeing any more blowing for a while, any bubbles for a while, so I have been feeding a bit of sweetcorn over the top. I've just eased back on that now just to see if they'll take me hook bait. Right, so I expected to get a bite fairly sharpish over there, so I've now put a big worm on, not having any bites on coin. Bit of a line bite or two, but that's about it. I'm going to just try this now. I've been feeding coin, both in the ground bait and loose feeding it, so you'd think they'd be keen to take a bit of coin on the hook, but you never know. Sometimes just putting a big worm in front of a bream's nose means it's irresistible, so let's see. Got a worm on the hook still. I'm just going to see what the immediate reaction is, and then I'll probably, if nothing's happening, I'll come back on this near side line again. So there's a couple of hours into the session and I was optimistic to start with. I'd seen fish rolling and blowing, bubbling, and then I hooked one close in on worm, a big skimmer, and it got off, and it went pretty quiet after that. Had a few small fish, but what I've decided to do now is I've chopped up some worms, quite coarsely chopped, and I've put a dollop of that close in again, and also I mixed some in with my ground bait, and I put another bowl of ground bait over the furthest line, and I'm just going to see whether that kicks things off. Well, I'm going to switch between corn, which I've got on at the moment, double corn, and worm. So I've finally got a bream on this near side area. It's a lovely slab, a real big slab. Blimey, there's a big fish. Whoa! Oh, blimey. That is a big slab. I didn't expect to get that close in. I've been concentrating on the furthest line, but basically we've got this absolute chunk. Looks like it's got a few spawning marks on it, but that's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fish. So an absolute unit of a bream. That's taken worm close in on the area where I'd been feeding that chopped worm, but that's a beautiful, beautiful fish. Lovely bream, good £4, I'd say, maybe 4 1/4. Beautiful. Right, let's get it back. A little rest. Let it right itself first. Come on. Does have a couple of spawning marks on its other side, so it's obviously been busy over the last few weeks. There we go. Excellent. So it's nice, that lovely bream falling to worm on this close in line. Haven't managed to get anything on that furthest line despite seeing some action, and I've also seen a few fizzes that's come up reminiscent of tench over that furthest line, so I'm going to have another little cast over there. I'm just going to alternate between the two. I'd sort of neglected this close in line to concentrate on the furthest one, firmly thinking that's the place I was going to get the bream, but it just shows, doesn't it? Sometimes you're fishing on the wrong spot. And though I am convinced there's fish in all this area, both the furthest line and the near side line, it's the close in one that's got that fish. And I also lost one earlier. Oh, a big bream on the far side there. Oh, I don't know if you saw that on camera. There's bream rolling. I'm going to have a cast over there with this worm. I don't think I've seen bream rolling as often as I have today. So I'll put that worm on that furthest side now. There's obviously a few fish over there. It's looking like it's sat up in the water. There we go, it's just settling now. In fact, I feel, yeah, just seen a bream roll over there, and I cast across to it and then saw my float moving, and yeah, we've got another one on here. Just giving a bit of a run around, is this one. Thought we weren't meant to fight, Bream. This is another beautiful, beautiful bream. Stunning things. Oh yeah. That's another one in the net. Yeah, I saw one roll. I cast that worm across to it, and then I saw the float just moving quickly to the right. Didn't submerge, but I struck, and this fabulous bream's on the end. Bream number 2. That's another beautiful bream in the net. Wonderful. Let's get it back. Get this one back. It's a little while to recover, I think. Put quite a good scrap, that. Come on, beauty. There we go. There we go. So my net and my camera and everything's covered in bream slime, which is good. Oh, it's starting to rain a little bit now, so I might have to put the brolly up. But eventually we found a couple of bream. So let's hope we might get 1 or 2 more, but if not, nice fish. It's been a long time coming, those, and although I felt they were in the peg, just kind of hadn't got it right, so that one took it right on the drop. Right, let's get this out with a worm again. Right, time for me squashed sandwich now. Forgot to put it in my bag and put everything else on top of it. Never mind, I'm sure it'll taste alright. Some indication already on that near side. Swim. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's like a little skimmer, this. Yeah. A little skimmer. Yeah, much. Whoops. Quite wriggly. Much smaller, that one. Pop that in the keep net. The other ones I've put straight back. I'll pop that one in the keep net. Lovely little skimmer and a slimed up line. So let's have another cast across. I'm just going to keep alternating between these 2 lines. The furthest one and the nearest one. And a whole raft of bubbles right where my float is. Something's not quite right over there. Oh, that's because... What is going on here? I think I've got a snag. Oh, a branch fish. Catch a lot of these on the canal, don't I? Branch fish. Now I don't know how that's going to affect the fishing, but I suppose I'm glad to get it out of the swim. The branch fish. There we go. Nice. Let's chuck it behind me. I've just had another branch earlier on as well. I caught a branch before and just had my second branch, so whether there's a few fish just stirring things up out there, or maybe I'm just unlucky that I've been casting over a few branches, I don't know. But again, so although I've seen lots of bubbles across the other side, it's been a tricky old swim, and I think I've found out one of the problems. I've now brought back about 3 or 4 big pieces of branches that seem to be submerged, and they're obviously kind of over there. There's maybe, I don't know, big bush or something that's underwater, but I've got about 3 or 4 of them out. The last one was quite a big one and it just sort of dropped off close in. But maybe that's been the problem over there, that my bait's been dropping into that. I'm not sure. jack pike has taken the worm. Fortunately it's just sort of spat it out, but I managed to get it in the net. But yeah, whoops, let's get it back. Well, a little jack pike on worm. It's damaged my hook link, so I've had to replace it. I just need to get back to the correct depth again. Yeah, I'm quite surprised it didn't bite through the line. It just dropped out, but when I checked the line it was frayed and bust really easily, so put a new hook link on and we'll have another go. This is a bit of activity. Been quiet for a while. Not surprising really on this inside area. No little perch or anything that you'd expect. So, right, I'm good to go again. So I've just come back on that near side area with worm, and this is pretty much what I've got straight away. Should have concentrated on that near side for more of the day, I think. The float sailed away. We've got a lovely big skimmer on the line. Well, that was interesting. I've been spending far too much time casting across to the other side, to be quite honest, and there's definitely some issues, underwater issues across there. I haven't been presenting my bait right, I don't know exactly what, but I've just come back onto this near side line, and because I'm running low on worms and I haven't really got enough to chop up and do some more chopped worms, I decided just to put a little ball of groundbait close in, and pretty much straight away float sailed away and a big skimmer on the line. So interesting. I think I should have probably concentrated on this near side line all day really, but it's all about learning, isn't it? Right, I'm going to stick another little worm on, have a little go on this near side area. Yeah, worm's certainly been the best bait of the day. I've been feeding quite a lot of corn in the ground bait and loose feeding it. Had a couple of little taps on it, but nothing of any note, and all the fish have come on worm. So I'm on my final last cast, but it's nearly time to pack up and head home and get me tea. I hope you've enjoyed joining me on the banks of the Leeds and Liverpool Canal. So thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your own fishing, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.